Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing? Man, it's gotten cold, hasn't it? Wait for YouTube to tell people that I'm streaming. But man, hasn't it gotten bloody cold, or is it just me? I've started to have to wear layers all of a sudden. And it's literally been within the last week.
Ladies and gentlemen,
how are you all doing? Shut up, me. Man, got up in the last... I thought I closed that tab. Got up in the morning to ride my bike to work, and it's freezing. I'm like, oh god, I've got to get my gloves. So, hello, chat. I can see you. How are you? Hope you're doing very well. We're gonna be talking about how the left is losing, and they can feel it, and they know it, and they're worried about it, and that's some good stuff. I like winter when it's properly winter, right? When over the Christmas period, when we've got like the week off, and we're just at home and I don't have to go anywhere and it's frosty outside. I'm really hot inside. Love it. That's really nice. But this kind of grey, drizzly, late autumn, early winter weather, I don't like at all. It's the air's wet and so it's chilly and it feels colder than it actually is. Okay, that Russian, that's great, but you've got to actually like chat with it so I can mod it. So, I don't know. Is that the one? Let me know if that worked. Anyway, the point is, I'm not happy with this particular period. Either I like summer, autumn, but not like the transition into winter, because it's yucky. I don't have a better term for it. Yeah, it's not cold enough to need to heat the house, right? It becomes uncomfortably warm if you put the heating on the house. And yet, if you go outside, it's kind of damp and chilly, and I just don't like it, and it annoys me. And the weather's miserable, absolutely miserable. And so this is like the worst time of year, in my opinion. I would prefer the deep winter over this, because the thing is, as well, like you don't know like what the right clothes to wear either. If the sun does come out for the day, then you're there in a heavy jacket, sweating your nuts off, and it's like, oh god, what did I? There's no winning, is what I'm saying, folks. There's no winning. Neither that nor with my mic. Anyway, right, let's begin, because, like I said, we've had a number of very good developments recently, and things are actually going pretty well for the right. All of the signs are in our direction. Now, Starmer's stormtroopers have been cracking down on people a lot. Steve Laws, Pete North, David Atherton have all been arrested in recent... Like, David Atherton last month had a knock from the cops. Callum, AA, Morgoth, I think all got talked to by the police as they came back into the country. Nothing happened. And then George Galloway today has been arrested on anti-terror charges coming back from Russia. Now, why George Galloway is going to Russia, I have no idea. But it's George Galloway. It's hard to think of a... The only person I would consider a bigger traitor than Galloway is probably Corbyn himself. So, who knows, right? Who knows? Like, it's difficult to know. But the point is, the stormtroopers are out in force. They are actively trying to essentially terrorize the fringes, because they can feel that the centre will not hold. The consensus that has governed this country since 1997 is falling apart. It is finally dying. And yes, digital ID, I said this on the podcast on Friday, I think that digital ID is the last Hail Mary of this consensus. Now, when you want to identify it, it's actually easiest to say it's the kind of Davos consensus. I don't want to invoke the spectre of the WEF, because the WEF is a meeting place for these people. And so it's not the headquarters. Klaus Schwab isn't Dr. Evil in control of all of these people, because they are a movement. They all agree on what the right thing to do is. And it's managerial, globo, techno, liberal elitism. There's got to be a good term for it. But the international liberal order managed through a global technocracy that wants to organize everything in the world and digitalize everything in the world. And the digital ID is the last piece of the puzzle for these people. And they think that if they can just hammer that in, then the whole thing essentially comes online. And suddenly we have the 1,000-year managerial technological Reich, which is what they're aiming for. They think this is modernity, this is the future, this is what's going to happen, and this is going to be the way that humanity is saved from itself. Right? There's a true belief that underpins this. And I think it was it today? Was it yesterday? I actually can't remember. What's the day on this? It was yesterday. Actually, no, I think the meeting was today, but this was an article from yesterday. Because this is from the New York Times. Progressive figures meet to share tactics in London. So this is, what was it called? The Global Progress Action Summit. And this was written the day before, but we have Keir Starmer's speech now, so we'll go through it in a second. But as you can see, it's all the sort of WEF types. Yeah, the sort of the transhumanist, global liberal technocrats, right? Everyone knows who they are because they all say the same thing. They all go to the same conferences. They'll want the same outcomes and they'll have the same enemies. So you know who I'm talking about. And you can see from the list of people, Mark Carney, Anthony Albanese, Keir Starmer, Jacinda Ardern, all of those people, Justin Trudeau would have been there if he was relevant anymore. It's all those people. And they hate Trump, they hate Nigel Farage, they hate the AfD, they hate Le Pen, they hate this, they hate that, they hate the other. You know exactly who their enemies are. And what's interesting about this is essentially, and AA made this point on Twitter, which I think is fantastic. Tony Blair in Britain hasn't been in power since 2007, and yet he's still meeting with all these global leaders, and he's still the most influential person in British politics. And so what he's done is, and what they're doing, is creating a system which transcends democracy, because democracy is the ultimate populist system. People could just choose to vote for anyone that they wanted. We could literally vote for absolute lunatics if we wanted, just for the fun of it, if we wanted. That's actually really dangerous to the international technocratic order, because we might vote for people who they consider to be completely bonkers. And so this is something that they are not happy with, and basically have done everything in their power to transcend, to go beyond, to make sure that actually the amount of voting that happens is minimally impactful to the system itself. And so this is why it feels like nothing changes when no matter who you vote for, you get the same policy. No matter who you vote for, you get the same international wars. No matter who you vote for, you get the same economic policy. No matter who you vote for, you get the same immigration policy. No matter who you vote for, things stay the same. Until you get in America, say, someone like Trump, who actually is against the system and actually is against this kind of international liberal cabal. And so they're worried because they can feel the rising tide of the right. They can feel it everywhere. In fact, they say here, a moment when their brand of progressive politics has rarely seemed more endangered. They know they are losing. Again, look at it. It's all the people who are just the most contemptible elitists in politics. I genuinely despise them, and they're afraid of Farage in the context of Britain, but they're afraid of whatever rising right-winger it is in your country. And this is... We'll go to the context of Britain because Keir Starmer gives a wonderful speech where he basically admits all of this weakness. But we're going to begin with Tony Blair. So this was 19 years ago when Tony Blair left the Labour conference stage for the last time. And the reason we're going to listen to this, I only saw this today, but the reason we're going to listen to this is because he shows you what they want. Because this is his farewell speech, his swan song. He's going to explain to you what he was trying to do when he was in power, what the whole point of this entire system is. And he's very passionate about it. And this is another thing that people fail to understand. Keir Starmer is not just an empty suit. He does have firm beliefs. He is a true believer in this kind of managerial, liberal, global technocracy. It's just mad. It's just so mad that it feels hard to believe anyone would be this stupid, right? It feels hard to believe anyone would have a set of beliefs this ridiculous and this divorced from reality. And so, take it away, Tony.
This is the party I am proud to lead. From the day I was elected and until the day I leave, they'll always try and separate us, of course. He's not Labour, he's a closet Tory. In the 1980s, some things done were necessary. It's the truth. Saying it doesn't make you a Tory. I'm a progressive. And the true believer, the true progressive, believes in social justice, in solidarity, in help for those not able to help themselves. They know the race can't just be to the swift and survival for the strong. But they also know that these values, gentle and compassionate as they are, have to be applied in a harsh, uncompromising world. And that what makes the difference is not belief alone, but the raw courage to make it happen. You know, they say, I hate this party and its traditions. Well, I don't. I love this party. There's only one tradition I ever hated: losing. And I hated the 1980s, not just for our irrelevance, but for our reveling in our irrelevance. And I don't want to win for winning's sake, but for the sake of the millions here that depend on us to win, and throughout the world. Every day this government has been in power, every day in Africa, children have lived who otherwise would have died, because this country led the way in cancelling debt and global poverty. That's why winning matters. So keep on winning, and do it with optimism, with hope in your hearts. Politics is not a chore, it's the great adventure of progress. And I don't want to be the Labour leader who won 3 successive elections. I want to be the first Labour leader to win 3 successive elections.
Right, we'll leave it there, just because you can see you've got a full spectrum picture of the agenda there, right? So he is a progressive. He believes in social justice. He believes that actually everyone ought to have basically the same. The race doesn't just go to the strong, it also goes to the weak. It doesn't just go to the winner, it also goes to the loser. It's like, okay, but it's a race, Tony. Like, if we can characterize things we do in life as competitive, there ought to be some winners and there ought to be some losers, because it is actually in the competition itself that excellence is formed. If you take away the pride, the prestige, the benefits of winning, and give them to those people who don't win, you immiserate the entire system. And this is what the left, the Labour Party, have failed to understand. But you've got to give him his credit. He was a phenomenal public speaker in his day, wasn't he? You can see how he actually managed to win people around to win 3 elections. And then the next part is my world. The world. Britain, I'm annoyed during the 1980s that we were irrelevant. Oh, God, if only, man. Like, I would love to not have to worry about the world, but unfortunately we have to worry about the world all the time. But notice here, the international liberal never got over the loss of the British Empire. They never got over carrying the white man's burden. They still think, God, I have to save the Browns. I have to go overseas and save some brown people from independence. Them doing what they want with their own countries, because that's what we were supposed to be doing when we decolonized the world. That's what they miss it so much. These people want desperately to be the saviors of those people. It's like, right, okay, well, if you want, Tony, but I don't want that. I really don't want that. But that gives you the spectrum of the project that in this country it's called Blairism, but the sort of the WEF global project itself is. Again, I'm using the term WEF because It's just a handy shorthand for international liberal technocratic global order. But you see what I'm saying, right? You can see exactly what I mean. It's these sorts of people who all agree on the same thing and who all agree in the direction in which we're going. And this is why they so comfortably fit together. And this is why they're all so comfortably on the stage together. And then you go to Keir Starmer's Global Progress Action Summit. So we are now 19, nearly 20 years on from Tony Blair saying, look, this is all going great. This is us winning. We're going to keep winning. We're going to win forever. We're going to make the world a new, a better, more progressive place where losers come first and winners don't really win anymore. And Africa has a massive population boom and various other things. We now live in that world. We live in the world that Tony Blair made for us, and everyone's unhappy with it. Everyone, almost everywhere, is unhappy with it. There is a reason that right-wing populism is rising, because obviously global progress action, which has been that is literally a wonderful description of what they've been trying to do, destroys nation states and it destroys peoples. And that's the point. The whole point of liberalism is to liberate you from those unchosen obligations, one of those being your nationality itself. This is why they're constantly banging on about how nationality is essentially an interchangeable thing, that you can just be born in one country, move to another, and then suddenly you're as Scottish as the next person, or you're as English as the next person, you're as French as the next person. It's like, yeah, these things don't work that way, but this is the dream. And the dream they're genuinely committed to. They really, truly believe in this. And now the dream is under threat. In fact, they can tell that actually most of the country doesn't believe in the dream. And the right-wing parties are severely outpacing the left-wing parties. The right-wing parties, well, what are they peddling? Hate, racism, xenophobia, sexism, transphobia, homophobia, all other good things. All of those other good things that, makes a country and tradition worth living through. Yeah. So Keir Starmer has come out to say, no, actually, I think that we're doing great. And you got to look around and say, well, where are we doing great? Everything seems shit. Things have never been more expensive. Houses have never been more unaffordable. The NHS waiting lists have never been higher. The streets have never been more overcrowded. The roads, the trains, nothing works. Nobody's got enough money. Everyone's being taxed literally the highest tax burden since World War II. And there's no end in sight. And you guys have no one to point to for the problem. You can't say, oh, this is so-and-so's fault. That's their fault over there. No, because it's been you all the way through. Since 1997, through the Blair and Brown years, through the Cameron years, through the Conservatives of the sort of like late 2016, 2024 sort of time, and then through now to Keir Starmer. As the last hope of Blairism, this is what you have. And I'm not saying, I saw someone in the chat mention, I'm not saying that Nigel Farage is some radical right-winger either. He's just slightly more to the right than these people. And he's not a globalist, right? Nigel Farage is many things, but he's not a globalist. He's not someone who actually wants mass immigration. So that does put him on the outside of their club, even if he's only just very slightly to the right of the boundary of it. That does mean he's outside of the club. And so Keir Starmer is here to rally the troops, basically.
Thank you to all of you here for joining us today. And can I take this early opportunity to thank all of those that work behind the scenes to bring this event together and allow us this opportunity to discuss. So thank you very much to them. Now, this is a gathering of people bound by a common cause, the patriotic renewal of our nations.
So this is interesting, because this is not framing that Keir Starmer would have used even 6 months ago. Notice how Keir Starmer and his cabinet have lent in hard to the word patriotism. Now, it's kind of hollow when you're on a stage with global progress action on the lectern in front of you, and you're in a city that has become minority English. It's very hollow to use the term patriotism, because patriotism is, of course, a love of the patria, the fatherland. But Keir Starmer, it doesn't ring true. There was a protest in Edinburgh, like I was saying a minute ago, and they, the wokies were framing themselves as the patriots on Twitter. But if you look at the crowd, Palestine flag, trans flag, like various other, like, woke flags. And so it's like, okay, that the strength of the patriot movement is basically undeniable at this point. And so now the Lib Dems were doing it, the Greens were doing it. Oh, look, real patriotism is actually being a communist. Real patriotism is being incredibly far left and bringing in 1 billion Somalians to replace the population here. That's what true patriotism is, which is obviously nonsense and rings completely hollow and no one buys it. But it's interesting how that has to be his framing. He can't escape that actually the rising tide of the right is our countries belong to us, not to you or your foreign cohorts, your client groups that you bring in to replace us. So actually we're going to have serious concerns about this. We're going to have words about this politically. And so he has to be like, we're going to patriotically renew our countries. Well, hang on a second. Whose system was it that the countries degraded under? It was your system. The system you personally have agreed with your entire career. Or you are literally a direct heir to Tony Blair. And the digital ID cards seem to have been a way of essentially securing his own prime ministership, because he's expecting challenges within the Labour Party, primarily from Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham. And for him to come out and go, you know what, Tony, I know you love your digital ID. You've been campaigning for it since about 2006, non-stop, under any pretext, as in, there's the plague, war, famine, like COVID. It'll make the economy better. Just do it. Just do digital ID, goddammit. And suddenly someone's like, right, I'll do digital ID. And the Blair network has gone and sallied and shored up his position. So you can see that he's leaning into this to essentially secure the patronage of Tony Blair, because his own position is incredibly weak. His cabinet has been falling apart. Who's he lost? Mandelson, Rayner, the director of communications, whose name I forget. And then you've got Morgan McSweeney, who's currently on the hook for like a 700 grand embezzlement or fraud, whatever it is, case. So like he is an embattled prime minister at this point, and he knows it. And so he's like, right, okay, I have to start just doing the WEF globalist stuff and they'll support me. Now, the consequence of this is that the public are going to be like, right, so you're saying for the last 30 years, things have basically degraded the country, and your commitment is to more of the same. Well, sorry, Keir, that's actually not a very appealing prospect. I actually don't want more of the same. And also, the public basically hates you personally as a man. They think you're fucking terrible. So go on, do carry on.
That is underpinned by the values of dignity and respect, equality and fairness.
Why do we live in a two-tier society then? Dignity, respect, equality and fairness, until it comes to the native people of this country. No one buys it. No one buys it. It's so hollow. These things are for the foreign groups who they have brought into this country. They are not for the native people.
And the belief that social democratic means are the best way to pursue that goal. But it's also
That's Fabianism, by the way. There's been a lot of talk about the Fabian Society recently. The society whose logo was, until recently, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Conceived of at the end of the 19th century to incrementally bring socialism to Britain. Yes, it is. I mean, that's what he's saying. When he says this will be achieved, equality will be achieved through social democratic means, he literally means Fabian tactics. It's not a secret. It's actually been out in the open for a very long time. The Fabians are everywhere. Like half of his cabinet are members or have been members of the Fabian Society. Sadiq Khan was chair of the Fabian Society. I think he was as well, actually. But yeah, it's a bunch of Fabians, and it is completely out in the open. It's kind of a WEF thing, though, because, again, they all agree. They all agree on the same things. So it doesn't need to be a conspiracy. It is a public movement, for anyone who's wondering.
Room that puts paid to a story we often hear in the press these days, that somehow our politics is dying out. Now, yes, we are in an era of huge challenge, but we can take heart when we look around the world. In fact, we only need to look around this room. Kristrun from Iceland, Pedro from Spain, Mark Carney, who stormed to victory in Canada at the beginning of this year, followed by Albo in Australia, and of course Jonas in Norway just a few weeks ago. So in fact, pitted against our right-wing opponents, I'd say centre-left parties are having quite a year so far.
So this is very, very interesting, because very rarely does anyone in a position of strength have to say something like, everyone's saying our politics is dying. And I don't think they're right, because of, here's a handful of cherry-picked examples. Now, that's not an indication of a movement that is actually in the flush of life. This really is actually a movement that is limping along, right? Because I don't know about the Spanish one or the Norwegian one or the Iceland one, but if you look at, let's take Carney in Canada, right? The Liberals have governed in Canada for what, 15 years, something like that now? It's been a long time. And they've made a total fucking pig's ear of it. And everyone hated them until Trump said, look, I'm going to annex Canada. And then everyone freaked out, and it allowed the Liberals to associate themselves with Canadian independence and patriotism, and this totally screwed Pierre Poilievre. And that's a lucky win. It's a lucky, lucky win. And it lasts only as long as, frankly, Donald Trump lasts. So when this, and Trump will go before Carney does. And so what's his argument going to be at the next election? Yes, we need more Indian immigration. And as I understand it, about a third of Canada's population are migrants now. Like, I've had friends who go to Canada and they're like, it's just Indians, man. Why are there Indians everywhere? And it's like, yeah. So I'm sure that the argument for Canada's sovereignty will ring really, really strongly when it's not Donald Trump foolishly saying, I'm going to annex Canada. And then you can look at Keir Starmer himself. Like, Keir Starmer had a large majority, but not because everyone loved him. He won with, I think it was the lowest percentage of the votes that the Labour Party has ever won on. I don't even know if it's like anyone has won on, to be honest, but it might have been. It was really, really low. He got about 33% of the vote. And you might be like, how did that happen then? Well, that happened because the Conservatives were going to win, but Nigel Farage came and cut their legs out by taking about a third of their voter base during that election. And so that allowed Keir Starmer to be the default alternative in the war between Nigel Farage and the Conservative Party. It's not that people love Starmer. People do not love Starmer, in fact. Demonstrably lot. Yeah, he got less than what Corbyn lost with. Exactly. Great point, Carl in the chat. Bizarro me in the chat. No, great point. He won with less than Corbyn lost with. It's because Farage came and took a third of the right-wing vote. And that completely screwed the Tories. And he's screwing them even harder now. And the Tories really should have just basically accepted that he was the real leader of the right wing in Britain, whether you like him or not. Like, you can't deny his popularity. And they didn't. And now we've got Keir Starmer. But to be honest with you, I think we have to go through this to get to the end of it. But the point being is that Keir Starmer is actually talking from a position of profound weakness. He's looking around going, wow, I probably can do his accent. Well, look at all these, left-wing leaders. Therefore, we must be doing great. But you can feel the energy draining out of their politics. No one's excited for them. No one likes them. And they're actually just clinging on as default alternatives. Everyone can tell the right is on the rise. In the next 10 years, all of these left-wing governments are going to go right-wing. Mark my words.
And not forgetting, there is...
Do the voice. Not forgetting. All you have to do is talk through your nose.
Good morning, Pedro. We're just hailing you being here, but not forgetting, of course, the Labour Party's victory in July of last year, getting a landslide victory here in the United Kingdom. So I'm sorry.
See, landslide victory in the United Kingdom. Yes, technically, but no in actuality. What he actually did is lucked out because Farage was on the attack with the Conservatives. And so he happened to be the one holding the flag at the end of it. But that's not because of a genuine swell of popularity for the Labour Party. In fact, the Labour Party has probably never been as unpopular, at least back to like the end of the 70s, was when the Labour Party was this unpopular.
I don't accept that argument that somehow our politics is dying out. But I do accept that it is now time for Social Democrats to confront directly some of the challenges and some of the lies, frankly, that have taken root in our societies.
Well, I mean, he just began with a lie, so why would you trust him on anything? But if things are going so well, why do you need to be so worried about the far right? If everything is going great for the centre-left, quote-unquote, then why do you need to worry about it? Why is this conference even necessary? It's because they are living in a state of perpetual fear. They understand that the tectonic plates of politics have been shifting, and actually the peoples of the Western world are actually sick to the back teeth of endless globalism, endless migration, endless exporting of jobs, endless decline. Everyone is sick of it, and it doesn't have to be this way. It's not necessary, and it could be some other way.
Because we don't just hear these stories about our politics, we also hear stories about our great countries, our communities, our cities, that simply do not match the reality that we see around us. And it's very good to have you here in London. I hope you've enjoyed yourself here in our capital city. Maybe gone out for breakfast this morning, popped into the pub for a pint last night, maybe enjoyed the last rays of sunshine in our beautiful parks. And if you have done any of those things or other brilliant things in London, you may have noticed that this city isn't the wasteland of anarchy that some would have you believe.
What a fucking thing to say. Every day someone gets stabbed in London, by the way. It's literally every day someone gets stabbed. Crimes are basically not solved in London. However, in the middle of London, you've got a few square miles where it is, I mean, to call it gentrified is to severely undersell how rich and luxurious this area is. The place where the very, very wealthy live and the very, very wealthy operate, and where conferences like this are held. So Keir Starmer were like, well, did you go into this incredibly beautiful gentrified area of London and find you didn't get stabbed and that we have pubs? And I mean, look at that. You didn't get stabbed. You went to a restaurant, you went to a pub, you walked through a park. Isn't that the bare minimum? Isn't that just the bare fucking minimum of a civilization? Like, that was, like, you'd take that for granted anywhere in the country 20 years ago, right? 30 years ago. You just take that for granted. Obviously, this would be how all of the country was all the time, and it had been for hundreds of years. And suddenly it's like Keir Starmer's like, yeah, see, you didn't get stabbed and you went to the pub. Boom! London's the world's biggest success story. It's like, no, that was the bare minimum. Like, the smallest, most deprived town in the northeast had exactly that. Like, and it always had that. Like, he's waving it like it's a fucking victory. And even then, it's a misrepresentation. It's only a representation of a small area of London. I mean, there are areas of London that you just don't go to. And everyone knows it. And so it's just like, right. And that's just talking about London as well. Like, you can talk about other towns. Like, that are just, if you just don't go to certain areas. And so it's just unbelievable that he can, like, and the thing is, I say it's unbelievable, but I think he genuinely believes it. I think he genuinely believes that actually London is a success story. actually, this is how things should be. They're constantly saying, yeah, we're going to ramp up, we're going to hire more police, we're going to ramp up the number of police on the streets. Why do you need to do that? Like, they were like, oh yeah, we're hiring 12,000 new police or whatever it was. It's like, why? thought this was an amazing multicultural success story. Why do you need to do that? What's the purpose behind this? How are the tubes doing? Because I mean, last time I was there, a bunch of them were cancelled. Just saying, how's the infrastructure? But anyway, we'll carry on.
But that, in a sense, captures what we're up against, doesn't it? And there are versions in all of your countries where places, institutions, communities are portrayed in a way that is a million miles from reality. A sort of industrialised infrastructure of grievance. An entire world, not just a world view, created through our devices that is miserable, joyless, and demonstrably untrue.
Man, this is just bullshit. I went to Reading today. That was ugly. It was just horrible. Sorry if you live in Reading. I'm not trying to do you down. But I remember going to the Reading Festival in, I think it was 1999. And it was the first time I'd gone like pretty much anywhere. I was like 18, 19 years old, something like that. And it was the first time that me and my friends had gone anywhere without our parents, basically. And I remember it was an impressive place. I remember enjoying it, and it was massive. I remember, you go around the city to try and find food or whatever on like one of the days. And it was just, it didn't feel dangerous, but it was also not disgusting. It wasn't run down. But again, and it's like Swindon. It's like anywhere I go almost in this country, you just go to the local high street and you realise, oh wait, this is an area that's been diversified. Like, we went to Birmingham the other day. Holy shit, man. We had the Whittown conference in Birmingham. And again, in like the centre square mile of Birmingham, it was quite nice actually. But getting there, you are going through what is effectively a third world slum. And this is just the case in many of our towns and cities now. This is just the nature of the country. And Swindon and many other places like it are just decaying. And again, I'm not trying to do down my own town or anything, but it's fucking true. Okay, you walk through the town centre and you just see it just overflowing with strangers because of the Boris wave. And you look at the quality of the building and things are just decaying. Things are not being maintained. And you wonder how it's come to this. And Keir Starmer gets on a fucking stage in front of the entire world and all of his international WEF cronies. He's like, our country's doing great. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, Keir, everyone can feel the decline. Everything is so expensive. Everything is, the scarcity of things is the problem these days, as well as the complete overcrowding of everything. And he's got the temerity to stand on the stage and go, no, this is all going great. This is the plan. This is how the country ought to be. And I don't know what you're complaining about. But then you juxtapose that with what he said 2 minutes ago. Oh, we need national renewal, a patriotic national renewal. Why do we need that if everything's so fucking great, Keir? If this country wasn't dilapidated, if it wasn't bankrupt, if it wasn't falling apart. I mean, look at your budget, man. You're like, oh, we've got a £22 billion black hole and we raised 44 billion and that somehow wasn't enough to cover the black hole. So come the next budget, your taxes are going up. Everyone knows taxes are going up. Like, everyone knows. If things are so great, why is a national renewal necessary, Keir? It's so frustrating, but it's so obvious that he's in an untenable position. He can't win.
And yet, in another way, and this is the challenge, also totally cohesive, because it preys on real problems in the real world.
Right. So it's cohesive because it's true. It's an accurate description of what the actual country is like, and not your curated city centres where the very wealthy go and live and have their conferences. So for the right-wingers, what they're seeing from the outside is a country that is falling into desolation, and you're like, wow, that is cohesive, and people are buying it. I wonder why people are buying it. Is it because they also live in the country that is decaying in front of their eyes? So what are we going to do about that? Well, we're not going to fix it. We're not going to stop. Like, the main problem is obviously immigration, right? It's obviously immigration because it's the problem that affects all of the problems. It makes everything else impossible. It's costing us untold amounts of money. Like, we don't even know what the actual scope of the amount of money we've spent on immigration is. It is preposterous how much money we're spending. I mean, imagine if there was a bank error in your favor, miraculously, and you went to the bank, you went to withdraw, like, 200 quid or whatever you can do, withdraw, and you check your balance and there's £1 billion in there. And let's assume this is American billions. So it's, 1,000 million, right? And you were just like, holy shit. Where the hell's that come from? And you ring the bank and the bank's like, no, it seems fine to us. No problem. Right, bye. And you're like, right, so I've got £1 billion to spend. Well, I'm going to buy myself a £100 million mansion. Okay, you've got £900 million left. Like, shit, how am I going to spend all this money? Like, this is such an unfathomable amount of money. You could buy literally everything you ever wanted, and you would have hundreds of millions left over. And that's the amount we spend each month on giving foreigners benefits. Each month we spend at least 12 billion a year just on the 1.2 million foreigners who are claiming benefits in our country. And so so he wonders why the right being so persuasive to people? Why is the message so coherent? It's because our country is being drained of money by foreigners in every way. Every public service, every remittance they send home, everything that is happening is just draining the country of money.
Identifies clear enemies. That's us, by the way. And at its heart, it's
We'll go back to that
poisonous of
quickly.
the way, and this is the challenge, also totally cohesive, because it preys on real problems in the real world. Identifies clear enemies. That's us, by the way.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because Keir Starmer, by denoting the right wing, the far right, has also denoted his clear enemies. He is aware that what he wants for our country and the world more broadly is in opposition to what patriotic right-wing people actually want, what the average person actually wants, frankly. And so he realizes, mask off. Oh, we're enemies. It's like, yes, Keir, we are actually. We are actually enemies. You're not, you're not you're not His Majesty's government in my eyes, and we're not the loyal opposition. We view you as an occupying force in our country, and it literally comes down to, where would you prefer to be, Westminster or Davos? And you go, Davos, obviously, in a heartbeat. He's much more comfortable here than he is in anything in our parliament, in any of our institutions. It's because he is a man of this, and he truly believes in it. He doesn't truly believe in our country, and that's all it is.
And at its heart, its most poisonous belief, and this was on full display here in London just under 2 weeks ago, that there's a coming struggle, a defining struggle, a violent struggle for the nation, for all of our nations. And you don't have to be a great historian to know where that kind of poison ends up.
Right. That's interesting, isn't it? Because there were so many people online who were like, what's the point of the giant Tommy rally? Well, Keir Starmer feels that there was a point to it. He's referring to the United Kingdom rally, in which somewhere between 500,000 to 1 million regular, mostly English people, just turned out on the streets and went to a rally to hear the right speak, to feel represented, to make a point. And Keir Starmer saw that and was like, right, these are our enemies, and there is going to be a struggle for the soul of the nation that takes place now. He has understood that rally to be a declaration of war, and now he is on a war footing. This is the war that he is declaring right now. He understands that it is all or nothing for them now. Because if we win, the entire liberal order will be swept away. It will go back to a traditional order, to native politics, as in democracy, not autocratic global hegemony. It will be, technocratic global hegemony. It will be nation states operating in the interests of their own people and not the liberal international order. That's what he is worried is coming to an end. And the same thing was said with Trump's victory. When Trump won in 2020, or was it 2024? I can't remember if it was the first one or the second one. But they started writing articles being like, oh my God, this is the world order that is in threat. And it's like, yeah, kind of. It's the liberal international order coming to an end. And Starmer is feeling it too.
And you can just feel it in a language that is naked in its attempt to intimidate. Because it's not careless or accidental. It's part of a strategy. They want politics to be a choice between globalists and nationalists, to draw a dividing line between the elites and the people, in which somehow our rich story of patriotism and pride, our common cause with working people, our deep roots in the trade union movement in our communities, the desire and demand of working people for a voice in their future is claimed by those who have nothing in common with them or their values.
That is such a fascinating little speech. Isn't that just incredible work by Keir? He's literally on a stage called Global Progress Action. And he's like, I can't believe those nativists, the nationalists, are drawing a distinction between the nationalists and the globalists. Like, who could have done this to you, Keir? Who could have imagined that that's what they would have said? That's what they would do, and people would buy it. And the idea that, oh, well, we began in the trade union movements. Yeah, because you wore them like a fucking skin suit, didn't you? The trade union movements in Britain used to be really nativist, really anti-EU, really anti-immigration, and somehow the Labour Party has come out of this, and also, by the way, really working class, and somehow the leader of the Labour Party is some spoon in the mouth, upper middle class, human rights lawyer who's never done a hard day's fucking work in his life. And you're like, we represent the working classes, we represent the trade unions. You've never lifted anything. You have never done anything that didn't involve pushing a pen or pressing a key. I shouldn't have pressed that because I've just liked his tweet. I didn't realise what thing I pressed. He's never done anything like that. He does not represent the working class of this country because he does not make present the working classes of this country. To represent something, you have to embody it in its absence. What does he embody? He embodies the global managerial class. And he's in a room with them right there, the upper middle class, literally the global progressive liberals, saying, I can't believe those guys would say, we don't represent the working class and trade unions of this country. Well, who's saying that? Because I was watching some of the sort of smaller commie podcasts. There's one called, the one we watched on the Archcast the other day, on the Stamford Bridge podcast. Like Workers Hammer or something, right? And they were just like, they were being honest about it. They were like, holy shit, we got crushed. Tommy Robinson got 1 million people out in the streets. And moreover, he got the workers out in the streets. And I've met so many of those people in the Tommy Robinson movement. God bless you, gentlemen. They are the working men of this country. They are the working mums and dads and families. The people who genuinely make this country actually function are with us. And Keir Starmer's like, but why am I speaking to a room full of university-educated elites who have never done a hard day's work in their life? And why do they think that there is a dichotomy between us? Is that because it's so obviously true? And so you can say, well, you know, we represent the trade unions. Yeah, but everyone hates the trade unions now, man. Like, you don't understand. Politics has changed. The game has changed. The whole thing has shifted away from you because your loyalties shifted away from them. And now, whether you like it or not, Nigel Farage is going to crush you in every Labour stronghold in the north. He's going to crush you because fundamentally you are global people. You are not particular people. You are not of the oikos of this country, And Nigel Farage, for all of his faults, absolutely is. Nigel Farage is a patriotic Englishman. Whether you like him or not, he does represent that. He makes that present in his presence. You don't. And everyone knows it. And the thing is, even Jeremy Corbyn makes a certain kind of Englishness present in his statements and in his presence. But Keir Starmer absolutely doesn't. He is a man of Davos. And he is, I mean, look at him. He's the greyest, most dull, most anywhere man you can possibly imagine. And he wonders why it's so easy for the nationalists to draw a line between them and the people of this country. This is a speech of desperation. But moreover, it's a speech, it would be a speech of desperation for someone who is intelligent and had an understanding of what was happening. But for Keir Starmer, it is a speech of remarkable fucking ignorance. And the idea that he thinks this is going to work is crazy. And it shows that Keir Starmer is one of the world's worst politicians. He is genuinely bad at this. And it's like he published this on his Twitter page, right? I mean, he didn't, but his staff did. And the media are going to widely report it. It's going to be widely shared on social media. Sargon of Akkad is going to do a stream about it. Lots of people are going to see this and say, well, I'm not in favour of any of the things you do. I'm not in favour of any of the things you want. And you make it seem as if I'm making the right choice. The way you frame everything makes me feel vindicated in everything that I'm doing.
Only a cynical intent to exploit their fears to benefit themselves. That is what we're up against.
Sorry to pause this so very, very quickly, but exploit their fears to benefit themselves. I mean, the irony of that. I mean, Keir Starmer it's going to be reported in the Times tomorrow. Spoiler alert. That Keir Starmer, I can't remember the exact wording because it hasn't been reported yet, but the Times editor who's going to be publishing it tomorrow has tweeted about it. How he is going after inheritance tax for farmers, but he somehow managed to carve out an exception for the property that he has made sure was passed on to, I think it was his parents. So his parents won't have to pay inheritance tax on their property, but of course farmers will. And it's just like, what you are unbelievable. Morgan McSweeney under investigation for £750,000 of embezzlement. Angela Rayner with her third house. She's never had a job. How has she got 3 houses? How do you get 3 £800,000 houses on an MP's salary? Come on. Like, and do you remember like the scandal of him taking loads and loads of bribes and gifts and things like that? And he was like, oh, okay, that looks bad, does it? Yes. Like, no one believes they're just in it for themselves. And even if they are, okay, at least we get what we want out of it too. At least we would get a patriotic government out of it that actually wasn't a globalist government, even if they were just enriching themselves as an ancillary byproduct of this. They would be like, yeah, okay, we're going to get rid of indefinite leave to remain. Brilliant. Okay. But we are also going to make sure we enrich ourselves like Angela Rayner and Keir Starmer and Morgan McSweeney. We are going to do all those same things. We're just also going to stop so many foreigners coming here. I would take it. I would just take it. I'd be like, okay, fine. I expect a certain degree of corruption from our politicians, obviously. But not necessarily to Labour levels. But I expect a certain degree of corruption. And man, another thing about the Labour Party as well, right? Go through the parliamentary records and have a look at expenses claims, right? I think it's something like 300,000 or something you're allowed a year, because the Labour, whatever it is, the Labour Party max it out every year. But then you got someone like Jacob Rees-Mogg who has 2,500, I think it was, something like that. Really, really small number of actual parliamentary expenses that he claims. But the Labour Party ramp it up to the very maximum. They take full advantage of the system. Whereas the Conservatives, again, for all their faults, tend not to. Not saying in every case, but it's just very interesting how they're like, oh yeah, they're all out for themselves. Fuck you. Just fuck you. I've got no patience when it comes to that kind of nonsense. I really don't.
So we must show our politics resolutely opposed to a status quo that doesn't deliver for working people. The worst thing we can do is to defend the status quo. It hasn't worked for working people.
You are the status quo. You've been the status quo since 1997. And at every turn, we have consistently voted against the things you have been doing to us, and yet we're still here. We are still here, somehow. And you, as the embodiment, I mean, if anyone was going to embody the Blairite status quo, it would be Keir Starmer, wouldn't it? Like, the only person who better embodies the Blairite status quo is Tony fucking Blair. And you are taking him as your closest ally to keep yourself in power. So just come on. Come on.
We must be determined to deliver change in their interests. Patriotic renewal, rooted in our own national stories, restoring pride where people live and work. We fight for our values, decency, tolerance, respect. And most importantly, we focus on the countries we can become through renewal.
Trivial, empty words. Completely asinine. Every year, we get 1 million plus immigrants in through the door. It's going to be no different this year when we find out next year how many Keir Starmer let in. It's going to be no different. Like, it's completely empty, hollow, nonsensical words. Like, what do these things mean, Keir? What do these things mean? Is respect 12,000 social media arrests a year? Is that tolerance, is it? Is tolerance arresting not necessarily my friends, but my mutuals on Twitter for tweets saying fuck Islam? Is that tolerance, is it? Is that respect? Is that any of these British global values that happen to not only be British values, but values everyone everywhere all the time share? Like, is that what these things mean? Because if it is, I'm not up for them, actually. I'm not up for them. And you know that actually you've become unmoored from the country. And so this speech, the whole point of this is designed to try and anchor him back and go, oh no, yeah, we're British for British values, which are the values of the global elite in all times and all places and everywhere in the world. So, you know, that's somehow very British, and we're very much committed to our country as we turn it into something people don't want it to be. Like, he will never notice any of the contradictions. He will never see it as a problem, but everyone else will see it.
National renewal. Now, that's not a new argument for social democrats, but it is the beating heart of our politics, the nation state, harnessing the potential of the whole country, providing security and opportunity for working people, together squaring up to the challenges of a world that is frankly more dangerous, less secure than many of us have known in our lifetimes.
You are literally standing behind the words and in front of the words, global progress. And you sit there and go, you know what we are? Nationalists. Like, it's so ridiculous. And no one buys it. No one believes it. No one thinks that this is true. No one thinks you're going to do anything good. And everything you've done so far has been horrific. Absolutely horrific. Because you are going to keep taxing the shit out of us. You're going to keep increasing the price of things. I mean, like, the private school thing was just such a slap in the face to the aspiring middle class of this country. Like, people who are like, no, I work really hard. Me and my wife, we both work very hard. We earn, you know, like, I don't know, $6,000 a month or something between us. And with that money, we put our kids through private school. And private schools don't have to be that expensive, you know, $1,000, $2,000 every term or something like that. If you get or maybe a month, say, if you get a relatively cheap one, and you decided, no, I'm going to slap all those people in the face. And a bunch of them have closed down. That video I did about the King Alfred School, that's closed down. I learned on the podcast the other day, that school is fucking closed down because of you, Keir. Like, honestly, you are not for national renewal. What you are for is the global formatting of the world into a homogeneous, monocoloured sludge, where everyone is just as poor as everyone else, apart from the technocratic elite, who will enjoy and continue to pat themselves on the back at how much they have ruined it for everyone else.
We have to respond to that, not by turning inward, but with even deeper solidarity, alliances and partnerships built upon common values, the rules-based order that has kept the peace in our world since the last century.
That has brought us to this place. If this is the result of it, of what use was the rules-based order, Keir?
The coalition of the willing. Strong, not just because of the depth of our shared beliefs, but because we recognise that the security and safety of the people that we serve depends on our relationships, our willingness to stand up together across our different political traditions and not be cowed by tyranny.
You stood and told the British public, you're going to jail. I'm putting you in jail because you were upset that a Rwandan immigrant murdered a bunch of kids. You literally said to them, you're going to jail. Again, 12,000 people a year for speech crimes. And that's just the speech crimes. Like, you let out criminals in order to put these people in jail. Criminals celebrated in the streets because you were putting protesters behind bars. And you've got the fucking gall to talk about, to even mention the word tyranny. You're like, yeah, you know what we need? Full spectrum digital ID that will control the entire economy. That is mandatory. You won't be able to work in this country if you don't have this digital ID. You won't be able to transact eventually it will come to transactions. And that's, if you look at the Blair Foundation project, they want it to be involved in transactions too. So you won't be able to transact if you don't have this digital ID, and you have the fucking gall to talk about tyranny. Like, mate, I'm just, people are getting knocked in the night by the cops and dragged to the cells for tweets, man. You want this full spectrum digital ID. The entire country, you are going to turn into an open air prison if you want. Like, you are bringing this all about, and you have the temerity to say the word tyranny. You do not have a mandate for any of the things that you're doing. There's no mandate for this. 33% of the country voted for you. 2/3 didn't, and you think you have a mandate for this. This is insane. This is insane.
But to protect strength abroad, you do need security at home, economic stability, an approach to economic growth that can create wealth more fairly in the first place.
Oh my God.
Proud working class towns and cities.
Okay, it's so wild. 900 people came in today. Right, 900 people just broke into our country today. So I don't think that's security. There are a bunch of new wars starting, as I understand it. And what was the other thing you just said? Sorry, there's so many things that he says here.
Our willingness to stand up together across our different political traditions and not be cowed by tyranny. But to protect strength abroad,
our armed forces are crumbling.
You do need security at home.
Tyranny. I mean, again, there's just an invasion going on across the English Channel every single day, and we're paying for the privilege. By the way, the illegal Channel migrants, they cost us about $4 billion a year, and that's expected to go up.
Economic stability.
Ah, yeah. How's the bond market doing? Because, I mean, like, we covered this on the podcast the other day as well. Dan was like, look, under Liz Truss it was like 4.8, and now it's like 5.6, and no one's freaking out about it. You know, the second it got to 4.8 under Liz Truss, everyone's like, oh my God, and the Conservatives were like, right, okay, got to get rid of Liz Truss. And now we're way beyond that, and it's been that for a while, and it's just like, oh, is this stability? Is it? No, this is what fucking collapse looks. Sorry, I'm swearing so much. This is what collapse looks like. This is what an economic system that's unwinding and has reached the end of its usable life cycle looks like.
An approach to economic growth that can create wealth more fairly.
Zero economic growth last quarter. Millions of immigrants in, zero economic growth. Taxes ranked up, hiked up, continually, weirdly, zero economic growth. Like, nothing that he is saying is true. None of it is true. It's all false. And this is the problem. He's living in a world of delusion. He's living in an insane bubble where he's like, look, guys, isn't London wonderful? You had the bare minimum standard of living that they had in the 1960s, and and you didn't get stabbed. Isn't that great? And the entire economy is going great, except the status quo is bad, and so we need to pit ourselves against it. And so we need national renewal, which we've brought us to. And so what's the plan? Well, the plan is all these things that haven't worked. We've had a year, nothing's worked, and everyone hates us. Like, he is insane. He is a genuinely insane person.
In the first place, proud working class towns and cities, so often disenchanted with mainstream politics because the economy does not work for them, and because that's been true for a very long time.
Yep.
And they're losing trust in our ability to deliver the change that they want to see. They don't want handouts or help. They want to stand on their own feet.
So stop flooding them with migrants. So stop taxing the living daylights out of them. Stop taxing businesses. Businesses are not people. The more tax you take out of business, the fewer people get employed. It literally is that simple. Like my tax, if I wasn't subject to corporation tax, I would hire 25% more people to do more things. We would be more entrepreneurial. We would do more stuff. By the way, go and sign up to lotuses.com, £5 a month. Help us grow. Help us build to what we want to be. Because at the moment, I've got my eye on a very nice building, right? It's a very big building. And because it's a big building, it's got really high ceilings. I want that Alex Jones studio, right? Honestly, it's been ever since I went on Alex Jones' show, I was looking at it going, oh, this is amazing, right? And we've got a good, facsimile of it in the Lotus studio now. I love our video wall, love our presentation, I'm really proud of everything we've got. But there's a building literally just around the corner from us that's up for sale at the moment. It's £2 million. And I want it. I want to make that our headquarters. It's huge and it would allow us to do something incredible, right? Obviously, we can't afford it. We've got to fucking pay tax. We're saving. We're saving as much money as we can. And we are doing well. But go and sign up. Go buy Islander. Go support us. Make sure that we can afford to do these things. Because Keir Starmer is doing everything in his power to absolutely crush us, frankly. Crush everyone. He's trying to crush absolutely everyone. And so, yeah, like, we've got loads of big plans for the future. And it's all coming as well. It's all coming on really, really well. I think you're going to really enjoy what we've got coming up to Christmas, actually. And everything's going great. But it would be going so much better and it would be so much easier if we weren't struggling through the tar that is government interference and taxes, right? Regulations, rules, the amount of money we just have to pour into the government's policies, council tax. Oh my God. If we didn't have to just pay so much goddamn money, we would be doing such bigger things. Like, I'd love to do, like, essentially international documentaries where you go there, film a documentary about the thing over there. I'd love to do that. And we will be in a position to do that soon, but it's just so difficult when we have to pay so much goddamn money in things that aren't for the business. Like, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to stop going on about it because it's just...
I'll give you an example from the United Kingdom. Yesterday, we announced £5 billion to be spent by local people, however they see fit, in their communities. Restoring a pub, reviving a community hall, reopening a youth club. But the important thing is not coming cap in hand to Whitehall to get the green light on a project, but actually allowing control to be with the communities where the funding is going, so they can choose what it's spent on, because those with skin in the game know what's best for their communities. It's about restoring control and agency.
But you took the money. You took $5 billion off the country. You're like, yeah, okay, we're going to give it back to you now. Spend it as you like. Well, if you hadn't taken it, we would be. Like, you're the thing that's in the way. And you'd be like, well, we want you to have control. Okay, well then stop taking our stuff. Leave us alone, and we would do this. Like, why do we need the money from the central government? It already belongs to us.
Having the respect for working people to choose what's
And yeah, how do I get any of this money? I'd love to use some of it.
right for them. And that is how they stand proudly as partners in a social democratic nation. So our approach to the economy, investment, yes, of course, in everything from defence to energy, creating good, well-paid jobs. Industrial policy, yes, of course. Our proud heritage of making things, relighting the fires and the factories across the country. In public services, absolutely, for all of us, from healthcare to transport, and financial prudence, which is non-negotiable.
Notice how, in everything he says, government is the source of wealth, of innovation, of success. It is government that grants these things to the people of Britain. It is government that does all of this. You don't do any of this on your own. You don't build up and invest and then succeed and then build up and invest and succeed. No, the government takes your money, prevents you from doing it, and then hands it back to you and says, use it as you like. Use it for some public infrastructure. It's like okay, great, Keir. Great, but I don't actually want to just be a serf of the state. And that's all you're offering to people. To be literally a serf. To say, no, the government will hand you a good paying job. The government will hand you this. The government will hand you that. Because it's the only way you see these things working, isn't it? It's the only possible use that people have is as workers for government projects. I'm really tired of it. I really hate it. And especially the way that you look at it is just so, well, anyone could do these jobs, so we'll just import however many people we need to be the workers for government projects. It's the same attitude as a pharaoh, right? It's genuinely the same attitude as the pharaoh of Egypt. He's like, right, I need to build the pyramids. Don't worry, you're going to get paid well. And they were paid fine. You know, they had lots of bread and wheat and whatever else. And it's like, but they're not free. They're not a sovereign people. They're the serfs of the pharaoh, and that's how he views himself.
But it does also mean stripping out regulation so we can build more and build more quickly. And the private sector can create wealth in every community.
What's stopping you?
Now, some people call this approach abundance. I have a different phrase for it: social democracy.
I would have liked abundance more.
But the way I see it, this is the defining political choice of our times. A politics of predatory grievance, preying on the problems of working people, and using that infrastructure of division against the politics of patriotic renewal, rooted in communities, building a better country, brick by brick from the bottom up, including everyone in the national story.
He's literally just described the pharaonic politics of the modern-day global technocrat. He is standing on a stage with global progress action plastered all over it. He is speaking to a room full of World Economic Forum globalists, and he literally will just flip on a dime and say, oh yeah, this is actually a nationalist project. No one believes you, Keir. No one believes you actually think that. You may well be so thick-headed that you don't understand that you are promoting two contradictory narratives, and we know which one you truly believe in. You may be too just thick to understand that's what you're saying and that's what's happening here, but it's not going to work because you are genuinely just arriving at the friend-enemy distinction. Look at those evil barbarians preying on division. We're the ones who are not preying on division by pointing out they're preying on division, by dividing us between them and us. Like, you are doing nothing different to what you accuse your opponents of doing, and then you just lie. And so it's just like, right, okay. And everyone always like, right, okay, so these people are evil. It's like, yeah, obviously, but you've got to remember, they genuinely believe what they're saying. Right? Keir Starmer, I don't think he's smart enough to identify the contradictions in what he's saying here, frankly, but they genuinely believe it. This is a true belief for Keir Starmer. They really think, because remember, these people have been indoctrinated into this their whole lives. Like they've grown up in this globalist system, and they genuinely think this is the final form of politics for mankind. And also, notice he hinted towards, well, you know, nationalist movements coming up. That's Nazis, isn't it? That's what he's arguing, is the other side is just a Holocaust 2.0. Which, of course, is not going to happen. That's not going to happen. The worst thing that would ever happen is deportations of people who shouldn't be here back to their home countries. That's the worst. They get to go home. That's the terrible thing that might actually happen, which most people agree with. When polled, most people think they should.
Difference under the same flag. Because wherever you are in the world, we all have our different national symbols. And what I'll say is this: we must fight for them. Stand up to those who tell us that there's a tension between our symbols of pride and symbols of inclusion, our multi-ethnic modern nation and our history and heritage. There is not. They are one and the same thing. That's the social democratic argument. It is a powerful one, and we must never surrender it.
Ridiculous. To say that a national flag is the inclusive property of a multi-ethnic, essentially multinational project is preposterous. A national flag represents the ethnos of that nation, and it is in opposition and exclusive of the ethnos of other nations. It's just that simple. That's literally what a flag is. It is a definition of us against not us. It defines us as something separate and different and exclusive to something else that will also be recognised with a different flag. Oh, that's what flag have you got over there? That's my flag, says Keir Starmer. So what are you talking about, you fucking lunatic? No one believes that a national flag means internationalism. That's the fundamental crux of your argument. National flags are international symbols. You are a maniac. You are insane. No one believes it, Keir. People from other countries don't believe it. People in this country don't believe it. This is why when the woke anti-racist protesters turn up going, oh, look, we're the patriots, they don't have a single national flag there because they don't believe it. They don't believe that national flags are international symbols. Like, it's Keir Starmer, I genuinely believe, does believe it. I genuinely believe he does believe it, and he genuinely thinks this because he's mental. Thankfully, this is never going to hold. Gammonzilla will wave the England flag, Haggiszilla will wave the Scottish flag, and eventually they'll be like, oh my God, the racists really love that flag, don't they? We're not like them. And it's like, we know. Yeah. Dragonzilla will wave it in Wales. Like, they know that they're not going to win this. They're not going to make national flags a symbol of internationality. They're not going to turn them into the woke Palestine flag or the bloody pride flags or whatever, any other stupid bloody flags these people fly. They know that our flags are in opposition to each other. And they know it. And Keir Starmer can dream about this, but it's never going to happen.
But of course, you need more than symbols for nation building. You also need renewal. And it's important to be really clear on this. Renewal is not just fixing problems in some managerial sense. That is important, of course it is. People are very disappointed with the pace of change in government. It's so much slower than almost every other facet of their lives. So we do have to speed up. Poor delivery is a threat to mainstream politics. But renewal is a deeper argument. It means demonstrating to working people that, as well as the economy, the state is being run in their interests. And that does mean we've got to look ourselves in the mirror and recognise where we've allowed our parties to shy away from people's concerns.
Just does he even hear himself? Like the idea that he can be like, well, our countries are great, things are all brilliant, we do need national renewal, and for some reason people don't think the state's being run in their interest, and actually we need to look in the mirror and make a judgment about ourselves and go, have I been working in the national interest? No, I've been working in the international interest because the British flag is a symbol of everyone except the British. It's literally an international national symbol. So why are these people thinking we're not working in their best interest here? Like, do you hear yourself? Do you listen to the words that come out of your own mouth? The contradictions are manifest. There are so many of them as well. And they're just so obvious and glaring. And this is such an untenable, incoherent project that you are proposing, and you're basically admitting your own failure in this. Not just yours, but yours as the political class of the international globalists. You're literally saying to them, we need to look in the mirror and go, why does everyone hate us? Why do they think that we're for foreigners? Why do they think that we're for globalism? Why do they think that we're for the continual degradation of the country, even as we raise our taxes, import millions of people, and then go to global summits and say we're for the international order? Like, it's so wild how you are so and you presented this as if this wasn't genuinely retarded, like genuinely out of touch with intellectual, just the current, the intellectual currents of the country are very much against you, Keir, and everyone knows it and everyone can see it, and there's a good reason for it, and you don't know why this is getting away from you.
And let the politics of purity patronise people. Now, you will all have issues in your own countries, but in Britain, it's illegal migration.
No, it's legal migration. It's legal. There are too many legals. This is why Nigel Farage caused such a stir with indefinite leave to remain. These people were brought in legally, they shouldn't have been, and they should be going home. And for some reason, everyone freaked out, but it's totally true, and everyone knows that it's true.
I suspect that may be the same in a number of other countries. For too many years, it's been too easy for people to come here, slip into the shadow economy, and remain here illegally.
Here's the pitch for the digital ID. Why not stop them at the border then? Like, why have the border force bring them in? They get halfway across, our Coast Guard goes out, collects them, brings them in, gives them a mobile phone, gives them money, puts them up in a hotel, gives them foot rubs or whatever else you give them, and you expect us to pay for it. Why allow them to come here in the first place if that's the problem? The smart move would just be, don't let them come. Physically stop them from entering the country. Don't facilitate their entry into the country. But of course, this is not what this is about. This is about further control, further centralization, further technocracy.
Because, frankly...
Yeah, Lulu, as if they have to slip in. As if they slip in. You escort them in. You make sure they get everything they'll ever need.
We've been squeamish about saying things that are clearly true. It's not just that it's not compassionate left-wing politics to rely on labour that exploits foreign workers and undercuts fair wages, but the simple fact that every nation needs to have control over its borders. We do need to know who is in our country. Our immigration system...
See, notice how this isn't for the good of the country, right? The framing isn't, it's dangerous to have unvetted migrants running around raping children and women. That didn't cross his mind. He didn't mention that. He didn't bring that up. That's what you care about. That's what I care about. I've got 4 kids and 2 daughters and a wife. I'm very concerned about illegal migrant men who may well have criminal records as long as my arm, and you don't know, and yet they're still in the country going around doing whatever the fuck they like. I'm not happy with the legal ones, frankly, but at least they will have had some sort of background check, I hope. He didn't care about that. What did he care about? He cared about knowing who is here and not. We need to know who's here. Why? The integrity of the technocratic system. It wants information. It needs to gather information so it can more effectively control everything in society. That's the thing that he's focused on. It is the system. He is a man and he's a creature of the system. He only cares about the system. He is just so concerned about his power. He's not concerned about what happens to you, what happens to your family. He's not concerned about any of those things. He's like, no, we need to know for us. Therefore, digital ID for you. Complete control over you for us, so the system is more and more firm and intact.
The system does need to be fair if we want to maintain that binding contract that our politics is built on.
We are not a contractual society. Show me our fucking constitution. If you want to argue we're a social contract society, Where is the social contract? What is the Constitution? Where are my enumerated rights? And why is it I feel that my rights are being violated all the time? Why are people getting arrested for speech crimes? Where is our social contract? We don't have one, and yet they appeal to one because these people are morons who import foreign politics and think, oh, that's ours then. No, we are a traditional, sentimental society based on bonds of friendship, Keir. The whole British political system, the reason Parliament could maintain the absolute sovereignty of this country for 350, nearly 400 years now, after the English Civil War. The reason that's been able to maintain itself is because everyone involved realised, actually, we're all friends here. We are the ruling party, you are the loyal opposition, and that bond of friendship held everything together. And so it prevented anyone from going, oh yeah, now I'm going to go do something radical left-wing nonsense like the Democrats or the Labour Party. I'm not going to do radical left-wing nonsense because actually the other guys won't like it. And when they're in power, they're like, okay, we're not going to do radical right-wing nonsense because actually the other guys won't like it. Actually, mutual consideration is what the foundation of our state was built on. And this worked great right up until 1997, when they decided what they really wanted to do is rub immigration in the right's face. Well, consider our faces considerably rubbed. And now, as you said, we are enemies. These are enemies. These are friends and enemies now. This is a cold civil war that's going on in the country, and he thinks it's going to lead to violence. He saw the Tommy Robinson rally, he saw the million patriots in the street, and he shat himself. That's what the power of all of this is. He knows that this is a problem that's coming to a head, and the thing is, he's going to lose.
Otherwise, it undermines trust, undermines people's faith that we're on their side, and their belief that the state can and will work for them. And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work.
Show you we're on your side. We're going to impose a mandatory digital ID. We're going to call it free, but you are going to pay for it via your taxes. And it is going to cost unbelievable amounts of money. Everything the government does constantly. It's going to cost, I bet this ends up costing like £100 billion. I bet this ends up costing a fucking shed loads of money. But I love this framing. You know, so you can guarantee that we're on your side. We're going to turn you into literal prisoners in an open air prison where we can just turn off your ability to work if we so choose. And it's like, that is mad. Absolutely mad. No, I don't think they're going to pull off digital ID, to be honest, Benji. I'm actually not that worried about it. I think they don't have the capacity or the competence. And like, this was Liz Truss's take. She's like, I don't think they're going to get this done by 2029. I think this is too much of a pivot, frankly. I don't think he's been preparing for this or anything like that. So now they've got 3-4 years to just like cram. I'm like, okay, we'll need the infrastructure, we need this, we need that. Oh my God, there are going to be problems. What do we do? What do we do? And I think that his position is unstable. I don't think he's got the political capital to spend on this. And it was so weird as well, is you'll notice that Keir Starmer doesn't care about public opinion. And they said, well, we're going to get this done by the end of the Parliament. As if they know they're never getting re-elected, right? This is probably the last Labour government that we will ever see. I think the left has successfully split now to the point where I don't think there will be another Labour government, at least not in my lifetime. There will be other kinds of left-wing governments, I think, but I don't think it'll be a Labour one. And I have a funny feeling that the Conservative Party is done as well. The Conservative Party, if they want to recover, they would have to do something truly radical, right? Basically, they'd have to retire Kemi Badenoch, obviously. She's not a political agent and no one cares about her. And she won't do anything interesting or radical. If they were smart, what they would do is go and supplicate themselves to Rupert Lowe and say, Rupert, we're fucked. We need your help. You are the only radical Conservative in the country, and by God, do we need something radical. So we would like you to come in, and we would like to give you dictatorial powers as the leader of our party, and we would like you to gut it. Because, I mean, Rupert Lowe has said, look, about 70 MPs would just have to be kicked out of the party. Like the Liberal Democrats would need to be kicked out of the party. The Gove faction would need to be kicked out of the party. All of those weak, limp lefties, they need to be kicked out. But also, the Machiavellian schemers need to be kicked out. There needs to be a purification of the Conservative Party for it to be able to actually try to be a right-wing party again. And if they were smart, they'd be like looking at their... I mean, the last poll was like 15%. Boris was on 52% back in 2019, 2020. Like, they have lost so much over the last 5 years. And it's genuinely looking like a death spiral. So I think genuinely the only thing they'd be able to do, say, Rupert, we need you to be the leader and we need you to be radical. We need you to just clear us out, cut out the cancer of Blairism in our party. And this is what Pete Hitchens was warning about ever since 2010, where he wrote the Cameron delusion, like, listen, David Cameron is going to turn this into a Blairite party and then we're going to die. And what happened? Cameron turned it into a Blairite party, and now you have an African leader at 15% in the polls. The Conservative Party is predicted to get something like 20 seats at the next election. Like, the Lib Dems will be like 3 times bigger than the Conservative Party by MPs. This is madness. Absolute madness. And yet, for some reason, Kemi Badenoch is still in charge. Why is she still here, guys? Don't you think she should be gone? Why in an era of anti-immigration has the right-wing party got an immigrant in charge? Just a question that I think is kind of relevant. Anyway, Hitchens is the British Cassandra. Yes, he very much is.
By the end of this parliament.
Definitely not Dan. Well, they deserved to have everything taken from them, didn't they?
Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID.
Can you think of a more tyrannical thing to do? Like, we will make it so you are not even able to exchange your own labour without government intercession in that transaction. Like, this is the very end of anything that could be called a free market. It's the very end of anything that could be called liberty. It's the very end of anything that could be called freedom. Like, this is so overreaching. So tyrannical. Like, did the Soviets even do this? like, genuinely. Like, this is so far. I mean, with the Soviets, at least it was when you moved across a border that you had to have, various, whatever it is. Like, I mean, borders of, like, the internal areas of the Soviet Union. But did you have to show your papers to get a job? I don't know. I'm not well versed enough on the Soviet Union, but it's genuinely like, this is so far, so intrusive. The idea that you're not allowed to work without the government approving it and with the government interceding in it, it's so different to anything that's come before. And it's so anti-British, right? It's so anti-British. If you think that, if you're wondering whether a person is allowed to work in the UK or not, you can just check their national insurance number. You just ask them for their national insurance number and check out the database. Like, that all still exists. It's just not a mandatory thing that will be imposed upon you and prevent you from working if you don't. So, I mean, just mad. Absolutely mad.
It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is, we won't solve our problems if we don't also take on the root causes, looking upstream to tackle poverty, conflict, climate change, issues that aren't just intolerable for those of us who care about inequality and injustice wherever it's found in the world, but which have clear consequences for our own citizens.
I mean, there's the globalism for you, right? We need to tackle global inequality, climate change, and injustice, and all. Like, right, okay, so you've got a mandate for the entire world, and you intend to use us as the springboard for that. Sorry, I'm not up for this. I'm going to vote for any right-wing party that opposes it. I mean, I'm probably going to have to vote for Farage, right? I hate to say it. Got my criticisms of Farage, but he is nowhere near as bad as this. And he's come out and pledged that he's going to have nothing to do with this, and they're going to scrap the digital ID. So it's got to be Farage on that alone, frankly. And Farage needs a comfortable victory. So I think we can leave Keir there, because Nick Dixon points out that he literally is afraid by the United Kingdom march. They had a panel afterwards where they discussed this, and he sounds really weak and terrified.
That march that we had here 2 weeks ago in London, in Whitehall, that sent shivers through the spines of many of our communities well away from London, not just those in the immediate vicinity. So there's a battle for the soul of this country now as to what sort of country do we want to be, because that toxic divide, that decline with reform, it's built on a sense of grievance politics, identifying something real for sure, but relying on the problem existing in order for their politics to persist.
Yeah, but that's remarkable. The politics of grievance. Yes, the grievances are legitimate. Yes, we're flooding their countries with immigrants. Yes, it is coming down to a battle for the soul for the nation of whose nation it is. Does England belong to the English? Does Wales belong to the Welsh? Does Scotland belong to the Scottish? Does Northern Ireland belong to the Northern Irish? That's the question that is being asked, and that is the fulcrum around which this entire conflict revolves. This is the question. Whose country is it? And there's a reason that we, the Patriots, are flying the England flag, and you guys are flying the Palestine flag, the Pride flag, blah, 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 you know, whatever, all the EU flag, all of this nonsense on your side. And Keir Starmer's like, guys, I think we need to fly a British flag at some point, or else they might start thinking we're not Patriots. It's like, yeah, no shit, Keir. Like, this, it's just... He's right, though, that we are enemies, and he has decided, right, okay, I'm at war with the right now. It has to be us versus them. The Gammonzilla has struck fear into the hearts, the deepest, darkest hearts of Westminster, because this was always the thing they were most afraid of, the coherent, politicised, national, collective response. That the English nation, the Welsh nation, the Scottish nation would throw off the shackles of globalism and say, no, these are our countries. You are getting Haggishzilla, you are getting Dragonzilla, you are getting Gammonzilla, and that's it. And that's what Farage is riding on. That's why he's the protest vote for it. Because he doesn't hate these things. He understands that really these are our countries. Again, for all of his faults, for all of his faults, and look at the size of it. This is what he was afraid of. Look at the size of this. And that's not even the front of it. It keeps going around, right? From where that thing was, we walked past it and then around. That's like to go down Whitehall. This is just... Anyway, the point being, this is what he's afraid of. And with good reason. If you can get 1 million people out in the streets, a march of this keeps going. It just keeps going. A march of this scale. You understand, as Keir Starmer, that something's genuinely changed and that this is an existential threat to the globalist regime. I mean, God, look at it. It just keeps going. There's still another 30 seconds of this scrolling across this crowd. Yeah, I think it's 500,000 to 1 million, right? I think that's a reasonable estimate. And I mean, it's still not the end. Fucking look at it. It just... look at the size of this crowd. I don't know how far down either way it's going here. Like, again, this... Come on, man. Keir knows. They're screwed, right? He knows they're screwed.
That march that we had here...
In fact, I'll skip the other things, so I'm getting a bit shattered now, to be honest. And let's get to the final bits. So, this is an estimation from latest pollings and things like that. As you can see, the turquoise is, of course, Reform. The blue is Conservative, and the red is Labour. How many seats do they expect Labour to get? 90 seats. They're currently on 418. I think roughly, there might have been 1 or 2 defections or whatever, but something like 418, which is a huge majority, right? They'll get down to 90. It will be a bloodbath. It'll be worse than the Tory loss in 2024, right? It'll be a bloodbath. They expect the Liberal Democrats to be about the same size, the Conservatives down to 41, the SNP at 34 in Scotland, obviously, the Greens at 6 in the sort of pansy areas of the country, and Plaid Cymru on 4, which is in Wales, obviously. But Reform on 373. Now, with 373, I mean, God only knows when Nigel's going to find 373 people to be MPs. But with 373, Nigel, if you can whip them into line and say, listen, guys, You're just going to vote for what I'm putting through. We've got David Starkey to write the Great Repeal Act, and we are just going to devastate Blairism. And you could go in like an absolute crusader and say, look, on day one, we've got this pulled up. And if it's in the manifesto, if it's a promise to pass the Great Repeal Act, the Lords can't stop it. So Parliament will do, it's the sovereign. No one will be able to stop him. He could just come in and go, right, devolved Parliament's gone, Supreme Court's gone, all of the legislation that Blair put in, the Human Rights Act, the European Court of Human Rights, the hate speech laws, the Communication Act, whatever it is, you could repeal everything. All of the benefits could go. You could stop. You could repeal all of the laws that the lefty human rights lawyers are using to keep the system running in their favour. You could just do it on day one in one big act and just devastate the entire Blairite project. That's the power that the British Parliament holds over the country. And like I said, it was because we were friends with our opposition, because we were countrymen with them, that we didn't do this to them. But they've done this to us. They've done this to us because they hate us and they didn't see us as friends. They see us as evil, far-right bigots that Keir Starmer's like, no, it's about for the soul for the nation now. Either we're woke globalists or we're evil patriots. And it's like, sorry, Keir, we're not going to be woke globalists. And Nigel, if you're listening, mate, just speak to David Starkey. Danny Kruger knows him. Danny Kruger and David Starkey, I think, go back a long way. In fact, they're gonna have lots of communication. Get some good lawyers. Just draw up the act. Draw up the Great Repeal Bill, and just get it done on day one. And just tell them to fuck themselves in the face. You could actually save this country. It's totally within your power to save Britain, to save England from these people, and to make it so that our children have a future. You have it within your power to do this. And I'm going to vote for you. I'm going to vote for you. And because what other choice do I have? What am I going to do? Vote Conservative? like what options do I have here? Unfortunately, I'm going to have to vote for you, which I'm not thrilled about because you've been a bit mean to us. But if you do what is necessary to save this country, and like I said, it can all be done through the ballot box. It can all be done through executive order. It can all be done by you. Then I'll sing your praises. I'll be like, okay, Nigel's got his flaws, whatever, everyone's got a past, but he saved the country. And that would be, honestly, the best thing you could do to essentially put everyone in their places on both sides of the aisle. And frankly, we'd end up building a statue of you. We'd get Nigel Farage statues, the man who saved Britain. That's what it would come down to, mate. So just think about it. Think about it. Now, just to be clear, this is like political favourability ratings. Keir Starmer is the least liked of all of the politicians leading political parties. 68% of people hate him. So it's 2/3 of the country. Notice the don't know is very, very small, right? So everyone knows who he is and everyone has an opinion on him. And 2/3 of people fucking hate him. Now, Farage and Corbyn are the net second. But you know what? I think that doesn't really matter at this point. I think that too few people like Keir Starmer. A quarter of the people like him, which is roughly approximate to the number of immigrants and social workers we have in the country. And Jeremy Corbyn, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but for him, unfortunately, he's not going anywhere. Hitchens predicts there won't be an election. well, if there's no election in 2029, then all bets are off the table, aren't they? Anyway, so Farage is actually the most well-liked, if you look at it. He's got his 61% detractors. Again, he's very polarising, but just more people like him than any of the other leaders. And Kemi Badenoch, quarter of people like, who the fuck's she? Half people don't like her. 20% of people do like her. Like Ed Davey, like 38% was like, who? Never heard of him. Anyway, the point being, Farage is in the lead for a reason. And when asked how do people feel about the Labour Party, they're out of touch, it's unclear what they stand for, they're weak, they're untrustworthy, they're incompetent, they're serving their own interests, they care only about a select few, foreigners, they're prejudiced, and they are moderate, most people think. It's like, really? I think these people are extreme. Right? Britons tend to see the Labour Party in a negative light for a reason. Keir Starmer came out and told us to fuck ourselves. And this was a clip that was quite interesting. This was a chief advisor to the Spanish PM who said, look, you cannot stop migration. One of the main engines of growth for our economic models is demographic growth. We are seeing a lot of problems of people buying into the framework of the far right. So what are they saying there? What they are saying is replacement migration and the displacement of the natives from their own home countries is necessary. It is a contingent, it is a necessary infrastructural aspect of globalist politics. That's what they see, which is why their patriotism is civic in nature. It is, well, anyone who arrives on this soil can wave the flag and be one of us, and there's no distinction between them and us whatsoever, because they need it for their view of economic growth. Now, I'm not in favour of it. I'm not in favour of this unlimited tax, unlimited immigration, unlimited nonsense from the government. But anyway, you have, we'll end this with a Cunley Druckper meme, where, politics used to be, and this is the before Blair era, used to be relatively normal. And in the post-Blair era, it's the next election is a referendum on our national identity itself. If we don't win, it's over. People who disagree with me are irredeemable subhumans who must be destroyed. That's basically what they're all saying at this point. And because that's basically where they have driven this country to. That's the position that we're at. Anyway, if you want to support us, go and get Islander. It is going to be off sale on the 1st of October. I said the end of the week, but that was actually incorrect. It was meant to be the end of the month, but it will be off sale at the end of the month, so go and get it while you can. You can go get the Gammonzilla mug, or the Fellaheen mug, or Ozymandias mug as well while you're at it. These are all wonderful, and they're all wonderful ways of supporting us. Helps keeps the light on, keeps us in business, and you get something wonderful and timely out of it, because these things are not going to be on the store forever. We regularly take things off the store, and then they're just gone. I think I'm wearing my Islander 3 t-shirt at the moment, and I can't get another one because they're gone. And so, I should probably not wear it as much as I wear it, because it's going to wear out. But anyway, the point is, go and get them and support us, and I'll go through some super chats. Man, it was stressful doing that, I tell you. Keir Starmer, he's such a liar. He's such a liar. And he's so out of touch, and he's so incoherent, and it really bothers me that his whole thing is just evil, right? His whole thing is just evil, and he sees it as being good. I really can't take it. Right, so there have been a lot of super chats, and it's gone 11 o'clock now, and I've got to go to church tomorrow. Guys, it sounds so stupid to say, because I'm not a church-going guy, right? So I feel ridiculous when I say it, but I have to go to church tomorrow. And you can ask Cameron, who runs the Lotus Eater socials, because I saw him in church last week. You can ask him if I go, because I genuinely am going. But the point is, I can't be up until the early hours of the morning, so I'm gonna do as many as I can, and I'll try and make sure I start with the big ones, because I noticed there are some incredible donations. So thank you very much, chaps. But I don't want to disappoint, basically. And I apologise in advance, because I think I'm going to. Right. If the next election isn't until 2029, then how will Gammonzilla survive for another 4 years under Labour? Is there a way to have an earlier election against the wishes of the PM? God bless. No, there's not. Essentially, the Labour Party itself would have to trigger it, and they won't, because they know they're not getting power again. They know they're not coming back, right? And so they're not going to trigger an early election. If it was the Conservatives, they would, and did many times, in fact, because they are actually confident that they can win. They are actually confident they can win elections, or were anyway. They can't now. But the Labour Party have never really been. I mean, that thing with Tony Blair's speech. One thing I hate is losing. It's because the Labour Party, prior to Tony Blair, had what was it, 79 to 97, nearly 20-year streak of losing to the Conservatives. And that was what Tony Blair was so interested in turning around. And to his credit, I mean, he did it. I mean, it's been evil ever since. But yeah, no, I don't. The point is, Gammonzilla can't go anywhere. Gammonzilla doesn't have anywhere to go. He is the heart and soul of this country, at least of England. He's the regular working person who was out in the Tommy March, right? That's Gammonzilla. And so they can keep abusing him and oppressing him, but that's not going to make him forget or forgive. I don't think they know what they're doing. Matthew Thomas, I don't know if I'd turn my son into the police, honestly. Big Mike, how is George Galloway a traitor? Man, that's a long list of things. Because he's always been on the enemy's side in every conflict that we have. He's just always on every enemy side, just like Corbyn. I can't be dealing with him. Possible Pilot Deviation says, I listened to your latest chat with Zuby today. You perfectly laid out a summary of what the left is. Beyond a dive into the sources, where can I find a text that also summarizes to share with people? I don't know, but I'll probably write something when I finish my masters that will be, hopefully, I'll try and keep it relatively consumable, so you can get it for people, actually. But I mean, there are books that do go through it, but not in the way that I want. So, I'm not your buddy guy says, meanwhile, here in Canada, our media is praising digital ID as a good idea. This is a red line in the sand that must not be crossed. We cannot allow the West to fall to this authoritarianism. Yeah, people in the chat were saying, yeah, this is exactly what the Soviet Union did, by the way. And I believe it. And I genuinely, it's got to be a hard line in the sand. But the thing is, I think Farage will win the next election, and then what? He'll just undo it. I can't believe, for me, this looks like a last-ditch attempt to save their project. And I don't think it's going to work. I think it's just making them more unpopular. Galloway is unironically the worst person in British politics. Yeah, I mean, he literally will sit... I mean, he won in Bradford under the Respect Party, which was just an Islamist party of his own little making. Like, going around saying, I'm going to support the Muslims. And this was before, like, the Palestine stuff kicked off with Israel. Like, he just sides with the enemy every time. Like, there's not an enemy of Britain that he doesn't side with. So, Bahamas says, this domain is for your work. The donation, I think you mean, is for your work at the cold face of Gamergate. Well, I mean, it's been a while, isn't it? Thank you, though. That's very generous of you, Bahamas. Janice says, in 2000, 9 Afghans hijacked a plane and forced it to fly to the UK so they could demand asylum. Then in 2006, they were given it to them by the courts. Both parties promised to overhaul immigration after this. Did anything happen? I would have to look it up, but I very much doubt it. Like, so many of our terrorists, there were loads of Libyan terrorists that we took in as asylum seekers, and they just committed terrorism. Like, the Manchester Arena bomber was one of them. It's just like, thanks, guys. Thanks for repaying our kindness. Should have just given it to Gaddafi, man. Should have for 50 Canadian dollars. Thank you very much. A little over a week since I've turned 31. Well, congratulations. Been watching you since I lived in Britain back in 2015, 2017. Thank you for keeping the working men informed. Doing my best. Keep the rally of the culture moving, Carl. We cannot let this modern malaise strike us down. Well, honestly, I'm actually, as dire as things seem, right, I'm actually kind of optimistic. For the first time in a long time, I actually think that we're doing really well. Like, the British right is actually in the driver's seat, and we actually have someone who is reliable enough that he's not a globalist, right? You can say whatever you like about Farage. He's not nearly in line with the online right, but the British right in general are on the march, are actually well organised, are well motivated, and are winning. And this is what Starmer's entire speech is about. Oh shit, the right's about to kick my fucking ass. Like, what am I going to do? And it's like, okay, well, I mean, I think you should deport yourself, frankly, kid. But like, I'd exile you to Elba or something. No, to St. Helena, frankly. Like Napoleon, I would get out. Same with Tony Blair. You're never allowed to leave. That's what I'd bloody well do with you. But yeah, no, the right is winning. We have a champion, even though he's a bit wishy-washy. He's at least not a globalist, right? So there's that. So happy. I'm actually quite optimistic about how things are going. I really think Farage can win, and that would be so much better than either of the alternatives, even though it's not everything I want, right? So politics is the art of the possible, and it is possible that we get someone who is at least somehow in some way right-wing in charge of the country. So Dwight Fish says, Rhodes' dream is still possible. Remember who you are and remind your fellow countrymen. I pray for an English revival. Well, man, there were a million of us out in the streets the other day. And I swear to God, when I was there, I was walking through the crowds and I was on the stage. Like, you could just see, it was a sea of England flags. You'd see the odd other flag, like Ireland or Wales or Scotland or... Yeah, I saw like 3 Israeli flags the whole day, right? But I saw like, I must have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of England flags primarily. I saw lots of Union Jacks, but it was still mostly England flags. I was just like, this is amazing. This is just incredible. I was walking along the Posey Park and she was like, this is wonderful, isn't it? I was like, yes, this is. This, if you think about it like 3-4 years ago, when we're like doing the long yards, this seemed unthinkable. And it seemed like a dream that we'd have 1 million people out in the streets with, 500,000 England flags, like St. George's crosses. Like that seemed like a really far away dream. And yet we've just been through it. 2 weeks ago it happened and Keir Starmer is shitting bricks over it. He's literally like, that put a shiver up the spine of us. And it's like, yes, it did. Yes, it did. Like, again, we are having a tangible effect on the politics of this country. But that's the thing to remember. That is a genuine force that we have become in British politics. So just be aware, be aware. We're winning. We're going to get what we want. We're going to get our country. We are going to win this. I am optimistic. I've always been an optimist, but 5 years ago, things were dire. And then 3 years ago, things were really dire after the COVID lockdowns and after the Boris wave started coming in. And last year, things were like, oh God, this is rough. But then we started the United Kingdom rallies and suddenly morale started building. And the thing snowballed to where we are now. Like, I can't wait till the next one. I'm literally going to demand Tommy put me on early. I actually want to speak this time, which I'm sure he will. But, things are snowballing in our direction. Honestly, it's so great. It's so great. Would you rather your children see you in chains or in combat? Well, of course in combat. And thank you, Joshua, for the kind donation and the kind words. The MMA guru says, stay strong, lads. Anything the government hates you for doing must be good for you because they want what's worst for you deep down. That's how you know that you're on the right path. That's exactly it, right? That's exactly it. And just, we're growing stronger. I keep going to the gym, man. My wife's loving it. It's great. But no, Tommy wasn't waving the Israel flag, no. Honestly, there were barely any Israel flags. There were one or two, but you can cherry pick anything out of a crowd that big. Like, the crowd was enormous, and it was almost all England flags, man. It was so good, so good. But yeah, when the government don't want you to do something like patriotic and political, yes, we should be doing it. We should be doing it. And generally, everyone was quite well behaved. Only 9 arrests in a crowd that big. That's bloody good. And that was only because it was so big it was spilling around to the counter-protest and they ended up having a conflict. But anyway. John Smith says, have I heard of the MMA Guru? Well, I mean, he just sent me a super chat. I can't say I'm familiar with the channel. But 379,000 subscribers is pretty big. No, I will click subscribe. I'll watch some of his videos. I don't tend to watch MMA, not because there's anything wrong with it. It's just I don't tend to watch anything. And I don't know. I like stories, Like I like to fall asleep listening to stupid stories. So I don't know if that's the kind of content, but I'll check it out. But thank you for the super chat, by the way, both of you. Starmer is speedrunning the anarcho-tyranny playbook. Well, it's what he wants. This is the final form of what he wants. Criminals unpunished, law-abiding people punished, the country turned into a prison island, and total control over everything they do. Redcoat Leader says, could Lucy's do a deep dive on the various acts of Parliament that Blair passed just during his first term that the Great Repeal Bill could undo? That's a great idea. That is a really great idea. I will, in fact, just put that into Discord. Because that is a really worthwhile thing. Olive says, I hate politicians. I'm sick of politicians. I'm so tired of it, man. I'm so tired of it. I'm under IR35. I have to pay tax through PAYE, Employers' National Insurance. Employers' National Insurance, and the pre-tax figure is used to calculate the childcare hours I lose. A portion of my income is an effective 100% rate. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And the thing is, like, the government's like, yeah, okay, we're going to take 30% tax off you or something. And the way I hate framing it the most, because it's the most brutal, is for the final 4 months of the year, or 3 months of the year, however much it is, you are working for the state. You're working for the government. You are working for the people who are lounging around your town centre, smoking cigarettes and drinking coffees or beers or eating McDonald's for free. Like, the people who you're paying to live in this country, you're working for them. And it feels like fucking slavery, doesn't it? I hate it. I hate it so much. And that is honestly the most piercing way to describe it. For a third of the year, you work for the state for free. And I hate it so much, man. I genuinely, I don't even know how to describe it. I just genuinely hate it. Dana Rogan for €100. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Says, it's been depressing seeing how UK politics have just been spoilers as to what's happening here in Portugal. Anyways, here's your first donation for your international press empire and future mansion. Be strong. The world is watching. Well, thank you very much. I'm working very hard. Everyone's working very hard. And I just don't mean in load seaters either. I see everyone everywhere working hard. Like, this is the thing why I'm very optimistic about the British right. Like, I'm just watching all of my friends and colleagues just, oh wow, they're doing loads of great stuff. I better catch up. I better keep going. I better, crack on, because they're doing like Lewis Bracknell with his freedom of information requests for Restore. He's doing a great job finding all this information out. He's constantly working on this. And it's like, good. All of those guys constantly working, all of our friends constantly working, and everyone's just happy warriors as well. Skippy, yes, I do smoke. It's the last vice that I have. Everyone's happy warriors, and it's going well. Like, everyone's winning. Everyone's doing a good job, and genuinely, it's like everyone just visits each other's front on the line. It's like you go and visit someone, like, how is it going for you? Like, yeah, it's going well here. We accomplished this, we did that, and you're like, great, fantastic. And they're like, how's it going for you? It's like, yeah, we did this, and this, and we managed to speak to these people and bring these on board. And it's like you can feel you can feel how the thing's stitching itself together. Jugu says, Carl, since last week, my father is another episode. He wishes he had offered Charlie himself. I'm in the middle of a master's program and can't move out. What can I do besides endure his rants? Honestly, I think you've probably got a duty to endure his rants. And I would just talk about things that aren't political with him. I would just get off the subject of politics. Because you've got to respect that he's your father, I'm afraid. It's unfortunately his prerogative here. And you've got to allow the human side of you to override the political side of you, I think. If it was my dad or my sister or whoever, I'd just let them have it, because they obviously need it. It's obviously because, honestly, I think they're losing. I think they know they're losing, and I would be concerned about their personal health and my relationship with them. So, Starmer's speech feels like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Our only consolation was knowing he had taken our misadventures to such excess that no one in a position to bring down the hammer could possibly have believed it. Yeah, that's a great point, isn't it? Like, it's genuinely, like, extreme at the point it's in. I'm doing a master's in philosophy. And it is a smoker's cough, that's true. But thank you, Mr. Soft. And to the people that I've skipped, I'm really sorry. I'm kind of exhausted. I had a long day out with the kids and the wife today, and I really wanted to cover this because Starmer's speech was just such gold to show it is the friends versus the enemies, the globalists versus the nationalists, and he knows it. He knows that it's the smokers. I just saw that in the chat. Sorry, quit smoking. You need to be healthy. I am quite healthy, even though I smoke. It's the globalists versus the nationalists. He knows it, and it's good that the battle lines are crystallizing, right? Because at least with this crystallized battle line, this line in the sand, at least we know Farage is not a globalist, right? You can say what you like about Farage, but he isn't. He led the charge on Brexit. He's always been a British patriot, in the classical 20th century post-World War II mold. So it's not very online right, it's very normy, but he is at least on the right side of the argument. When the fissure separates the politics apart, Farage will be standing on our side. So that is at least something to be optimistic about. And so when he's in power, which it looks like he's going to be, at least he's not one of them. Right? That's the best I think that we can hope for. And we're getting it. And I think we are actually getting it. So it could be far worse. I'm genuinely quite optimistic. And thank you, Dwight Fish. How do I feel about the increasing radicalization of the further right? I don't think we need to become more radical at this point. I actually think that we are doing sufficiently well to win. Right? I genuinely think we're on the trajectory to win, and we can be optimistic about winning. And I think we are going to win. I think we've flexed our power recently, the populists and Reform. I think everyone has shown that actually the British right, even when it's not united and joined up in the way that it would be better if it was, even with Farage like, oh no, go away, and even with Tommy being like, fucking Farage, he's such a dick. Even with all of this, we're still winning. We're still going to get what we want. We're still the power in British politics at the moment. And we've still got the Prime Minister shitting bricks. Like, to have Keir Starmer be like, oh, I saw that march and I'm terrified. The globalists are going to lose. The nationalists are going to win. Like, we've got the Prime Minister crapping himself. Like, he went on a stage in front of all of his globalist buddies and was like, that march that I was on the stage at the end. Like, and he's like, God, that terrified me. And it's like, yes. Like, that's genuine effect. The psychological warfare that we are conducting against Keir Starmer. He admits, I was scared of that rally. I was scared. It's like, excellent. That's exactly what we want. We want Keir Starmer to know that we're coming to take our country back. That's what we're after. And he recognizes it. That was our intent. He has heard it and he has admitted it. Couldn't be better for us. Right? If you were worried that we weren't getting things done, well, it's not just talking online, right? It's not just discourse. It's not just doing videos. It's not just doing podcasts. We got the result that we were looking for. We're winning. We're going to win. Thank you, everyone, for all the generous donations. Please do go and get a copy of Islander before it's sold out. October the 1st is when it comes off the store. And I'll see you on Monday when I'm on the podcast. And I don't even know what I'm going to cover, but I'm sure something interesting will happen. So thank you so much for joining me, folks, and I'll see you soon.